Oh, SuiteDash, how I love you. So we are going through the process again, if you haven't saw the other videos, of each of the different toolkits inside of SuiteDash and what they do. And then we're going to have a come together moment where we put it all together, understand how it all flows. So if you haven't saw those other videos, pause and go look at them first. But now we're going to talk about the office. This is where the money and all the important documentation happens. So inside of Office, there are a couple different layers. We're going to start with invoices. And if you haven't seen the latest video that Mike has right now, Mike is changing the game. And I'm really excited to see how this all unfolds because no longer are they going to have this drop down for subscriptions and plans. It's going to be converted. So I will seriously say pause and go watch that video, okay? Now, I am going to speak about what it looks like now, but it's going to change in the upcoming month or weeks. I don't know. But inside of invoices, you have the ability to add standalone invoices. Invoices are tied to any kind of client, a customer, or even a circle. All right, so you can send an invoice to multiple people at a time, which is fantastic. You also have internal notes as a description for yourself, and your clients will never see this information. You have a title, due date, creation date. You have currently items, add-ons, and packages, any discounts, taxes, and subscriptions plans. Remember, within the new video, within the new building structure that should be released very soon, you will no longer have this section here. So just keep that in mind. Now, when you are adding items, items can be added individually here, but you can also add items through the back end settings, and you can just pick from the drop down of items that you have. In this case, I'm just going to say test, and I'm going to add a rate of how much I feel this test is going to be. I can add a picture to make it dynamic, which I will. I'll be a little fancy. So I'm going to add one of my logos. And once you do that, you'll have to click to accept it, and then you can either save it for later, which is going to be added into my back end, or I can literally uncheck this and it's just a ad hoc item, as well as making this taxable. So once you make this taxable, when your tax price is there, like your VAT or your regular tax cost, then it would automatically tax on this cost. Now I'm going to hit add, and once I add, you'll see here that the item has been added with a picture and the text. If I had added a description, I can add that here, and I can still pop back in and add that there. But I can change the cost, the rate, the quantity, the rate, the item discount, and if I had any tax, I could put that there. I can add as many items as I want to. I can also add a discount overall to this, and I can say, I'll just call this free, and the rate in itself can be either an amount or a full percentage. So I can say it's going to be 1 cent off, which is fun. So that gives this final rate to be 99 cents. And so you can see both things here. You can see the one-time charges, and you can see the subscription charges. And subscription charges right now work very similar to what you can even imagine. You add a plan. With a plan, you'll give it a title. You'll also give it a reference because the reference is how you title it at the back. And then you have a summary, the cost, you have the category in which you can change inside of the categories for plans. You can also add an image. You can do a trial period, and you can do a billing cycle amount. So it could be 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, all the things. You can have an expiration date, or you can just not have an expiration date. And then once you hit save, now you'll see that I have a total at my subscription charges. So that's how that all works. And then down here you have the organizational description and all the things. So you have what places itself onto the invoice, the organization address. You can do some placeholders here. You have the bill to address, which, or the bill to name rather, which you can place either the contact or company name, and then the bill to address. So you can add the full address or all the different details here. Placeholders are very important to utilize, but you can also put customized information there, as well as inside of the T&Cs, the note section, which will be visible to the client, and then the payment description, which also will be visible to them as well. It is very important to say that if you do not have your gateway set up, it will not show a gateway here. I don't have a gateway set up. The way you will do that, and we'll get down to it, is down here within this gateway section. But if you do have one and it's outside of your Stripe, your Authorize.net, Braintree, or PayPal, you can use what they call a third party link to payment. The only caveat here is that you will have to manually mark this as paid, and that may or may not be the trigger for your different automations that may tie to this invoice here. And I say may or may not because you may not have any automations set up, but you may have automation set up. And so that would be the key caveat in order for those things to trigger. So keep that in mind because it's very, very important. That link can actually be used in any section that you want. And then you can go ahead and so I'm thinking like if you wanted to do it in certain places, you can do it there. But then you can add some automations. SuiteDash never fails with their automations, and so you see that you can do literally anything you want, anything you need, from going ahead to send them an SMS to say thank you, an email to say thank you, adding them to circles, removing them from circles, sending them a portal invitation, or even applying a project generator. The numerous things you can do makes this so better to utilize the actual invoice toolkit altogether. All right. So with all that being said, when you publish this, this can generate an automatic prefix invoice number. So you can do that inside the back settings. You can also send a notification to them when this is generated, unless you wanted to do a manual invoice email. You can do that too. And once they do pay, you can send them a thank you after message as well, which you can edit inside of the email templates. Lastly, you can attach some files. But that's all the things you can do in the invoice space. Now, please, again, keep in mind that there will be and let me see if I can put some tests here. There will be a change to the invoicing. So just note that that is something that you want to look out for. So this video may not be something that is going to be relevant at that time when you watch it. But look at his video because it just gives you some clarity. If you ever needed to send this manually, there are a couple of options here that you have, one of them being that copy payment link. And then you can also generate a document directly from here or a project directly from here. You can resend the email, you can mark it void, you can duplicate it, you can archive it and delete it. But most importantly, you can attach files, have all of the automations that will go here, edit and view it. Viewing it looks like this, and you can see what it will look like for the client. You can see the bill to, you can see the bill from. You can also see all of the invoice dates, details, and then also all of the items that are inside of the package as well. You can see the one-time and subscription charges. And soon, based on Mike's video, you'll be able to see all the add-ons and extra amazing things that he's adding on. Expenses are different and they're new. I love expenses because it's very similar to invoices, except it's just really an expense. So you have the recurring expense or one-time expense, and as you can imagine, it's going to look similar to what the invoicing looks like. You can go ahead and fill this entire item out, and then you can also have a PO for this as well if it's an expense item that will be utilizing a PO. That takes me now over to the estimates. Estimates are also very easy to use. You have both the options of a standard static um, estimate, which allows that person to just see what's there in the static, meaning that they can't make any adjustments or choices. It's just conditioned to what you put it. However, with the offer choice of items, you actually have them choose dynamically what they want. So you can have a plethora of things here. You can have like test or this, and they can just it'll start at 0. You can say, yep, I want this versus I want that. So that's why I love estimates. And then estimates, once approved, does get converted into an invoice, and it does automatically convert your client into, or your prospect into, a client. The only thing is, I always like to uncheck this box because I don't want to notify them of that change. So that's the only thing that I do prior to making sure that I send this out. Proposals are big. And I mean, for me, I used to use proposals for the simple fact that proposals have such a very, very beautiful layout to it. And there are some great templates that you can use. But proposals, just like any, have the ability to have targets or circles. You can also title it make the value until whenever. But the biggest thing here is right now you can do either a static value or you can do a proposal option block. With a proposal option block, you have the option to have add-ons or items and packages. And again, with all the changes that Mike has shared, there's going to be tons of overhaul to this process as well, where your individuals can choose their options, change their pricing, or even select items they need and do bump ups and all the things. I love also the fact that with this, you have the ability to make all of this very custom with pictures and also with customization for buttons and other widgets. Some of the widgets they have are, of course, very less granular, like the dashboards and the portal pages, but you do get a lot of different features. So you have the ability to do text blocks, video blocks, buttons, and any proposal item. You also get that, well, the choice block item, you also get the ability to choose that choice block here. So if you had items here, it will load it. I don't have any items on it, so that's why it's pinwheeling for me, but that's how it would work. The other biggest thing about this is that viewing a proposal, it gives you the live feed of what a customer would actually see. So you can make as many pages as you want, or you can pull from an actual theme or template if you've had it. And I'm going to show you where you can grab some in a second. You can also change the font options. So you can change all of the font layers, the weight, the size, the notifications as well, who gets notified when they view it, when the expiration reminder goes out, and if they reject it, who gets notified. Also, the last thing is on this side, you have that load template similar to where you had it over here. So I just wanted to show you those different options there. When you had a client that signs, it takes them to the thank you page. This is not revealed until after. So the thank you page actually stays off the screen. They don't see that until they either approve it or they reject it. And so if they reject, I don't think it shows them the thank you, but it does show them the thank you if they approve it. Okay. Let's go back and show you the customization. So of course you want to have your logo. This is going to be plastered to the left, the top left. So that's where you would add that. And then you will also have some default coloring that you can change all of here. And it gives you the customization of just making sure you can also just, be fancy. But I also like to use CSS or some JavaScript. If you know any, you can drop that in there. And yes, you can assign automations to this as well. Similar to any invoice or estimate, this would actually convert your contact over to a client as well. I always just uncheck that box because it will send them an extra email just to say they converted. I don't think it's necessary. And then you can attach some files as well if you chose to this as well, and you can always save it. Right. Down on the bottom before I hop out, you have the save draft, and keep editing, meaning that you're going to stay here. Save draft will return you back to the list. Finalize will have you send that to the target, and finalize and send. Sorry, finalize has you save it, and then finalize and send has you send it. All right. So let's go over now to where you can actually get some templates. There are a few that are sitting in a beautiful space. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to recreate or to adjust them. But if you go over to your template library, you're going to go down into where it says proposal, and then you're going to see all of the selections here. Now, I will say these are very beautiful and they are useful. However, changing colors does require a little bit of HTML coding, only because people don't really know that these require a little bit of customization. It's not like you choose a color in the box, and I'll show you what I mean. So coming in here, you see the introduction. You see that this is on a text block. You also see that this has a color in the background, and you can see that this is wrapped inside of here. So if I wanted to change this color, it's not going to just change it if I just press text color or background color. It doesn't do that. I would have to go in and change the CSS, and that color would probably be a span color or somewhere in this section of, I don't even know what was on there. Was it a thank you? All screens. So let's look for where it says all screens, and let me show you. Is this it? Nope, that's the thinky part. Join. All right, y'all. I don't see it. Oh, here it is, all screens. So this is the color right here. And so I would have to change the color, and I'll probably do black to show you the difference. So once I change this color, see y'all, I didn't even change the color. I thought I would change the color, but it does require for you to adjust it. And I'm gonna see, I want to just see, oh, I changed the wrong one. I changed the other color. So let's change the background. No, I didn't change the wrong one. I just didn't change it altogether. All right, so I'm going to leave this alone because I don't know what I don't know. But it goes to show that it does take a little bit of um, finagling, and I could have just put the wrong, too many zeros. I don't know, y'all. Let's just hop into something else before I go crazy. So that just shows you that the responsiveness of this is really based on you knowing code, a little bit if that, and then you can change and adjust the language yourself, but it just does require a little bit of functionality of the system. Let's hop back over to this screen here. So you have different themes that you can save. And so when you save an actual um, back end process here, when you save into these, you have the ability to hit save to library, and this is what saves the page. Or if you wanted to save the entire thing, you can do that as well, like a full template. And let me go back and show you how you can do that. So you'll save this template. So that's what gets saved inside of this. It's a page template is what is inside of the prospect, the proposal. And then this is the full template, which is saved from the full template on this side. Now, generators are about invoicing. So let's talk about all the invoicing options. And again, if you don't know what you don't know, just go into this box here. It is called the Lifesaver, and you'll see the differences. Whereas an on-demand invoice, you can create and config in different generators. So essentially, it's specific to a scenario. And I like to think of it like if I know for a fact my one service is going to be X amount, then I'd use a generator so that I could be able to kick it off inside of a kickoff form or any automation that's going to be that type of proposal all the time or invoice at all the time. Then you have a recurring generator, which is going to continually just generate an invoice, or an accumulating generator, which is like a running tab. It has various amounts of money with each type of generation. All right. So that is a difference there, and you can see all of the different possibilities as you go on here down this list. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because you also have an on-demand invoice, estimate, but for the most part, you guys should also be able to find that information here. Subscriptions and plans, as we just spoke about, you have the differences. Subscriptions is going to be where all of your subscriptions are active or inactive. And then your plans are going to be all the plans that you can create. So all the plans that you create currently live here, as you saw me creating the one earlier, but they're going to be changing as soon as that new toolkit has been updated. All of the payments made will be placed here as well. I would say a lot of people ask me about reporting. Reporting is pretty non-existent. You can do reporting as like a dashboard reporting block, and we'll come down to that inside of content when we go over to the dashboards. But if you wanted to export this, you can export it into a CSV, and that would be the best way for you to take that into another system to do all of the reporting you need. You can also filter, and you can see the list is very endless for how you can filter. And so that's pretty much what reporting looks like. You have this card view or you have the list view. Gateways is what I was mentioning earlier in regards to what you can pay directly through Stripe's invoicing. So you have the ability to use Stripe itself, Stripe ACH and Plaid, or you have Braintree, or you have Authorize.net or PayPal. So these are the options when configuring them. You just put your publisher key here and then your secret key. I'll also, if you're using Stripe, make sure it's your preferred gateway. It just populates it easier, and then require an address, which is for verification purposes. Settings is where mostly all of the backend items are. And I think I've already shared with you that when I'm doing my platform branding, I always make sure that I go in and I add my logo images. You can hide currency, you can change in the invoice prefix, you can change the generation number, you can change the decimal section. You can also change some of these email notifications. So it automatically should send out a thank you after, payment, but you can also adjust the payment due reminders. You can do the approaching reminder, and then other information that's here that's defaulted. This is where you do all the defaults. I always like to also make sure that they receive an invoice attached to the email, so that can be done here as well. Going into estimates, pretty much the same thing with changing the prefix. You can hide the currencies, you can automatically send reminder notifications, and then you can have a lot more defaults information here, including the estimate email and the viewing of the estimate notification. Same thing in the invoice when you can show them when it's viewed. Over here again, you have the subscriptions. These are going to be for if you wanted to send people a reminder about the free trial ending and retries if their payment failed. I always activate these two as well. And then you have the email notifications and some subscription options down at the bottom. Documents, same thing with the logo, but it does help you to have the notification setting to be set for whoever, wants to be notified as a staff after someone signs it. I also like to activate when somebody is trying to sign a document that it doesn't require for them to sign in. They can just click a button and it allows them to actually sign the document without logging in. Some other customizations allows you to customize how the client will experience the billing area. So showing their billing dashboard and showing their images for items as well. So you can see those two options. And then items is what we spoke about earlier. And again, we'll learn a lot more about how items work in the process when we're doing, for example, dynamic items, because I love the fact that you can just add an item from an invoice, an on-demand invoice, and essentially make your own amount. Add-ons live here, packages live here, taxes live here, discounts, custom fields, payment information, so all of the details on the actual invoice screen. This is where that lives already, with some automations that automatically get added if you were to set that up. Then you have the paid portal access. So what this does is if you're using a kickoff form and you require to have a payment before access of the portal, you can automatically do these actual conditions. Either you allow them access to the portal or you don't give them access until the payment is confirmed. And then that is the expense merchants and then the expense items. Archives are exactly what you think they are. They're when you archive invoices, estimates, recurring invoice generators, or accumulating invoice generators. And then, of course, you can import your items. Let's say that you're coming out of QuickBooks and you want to import all your items. You can do that there. All right, so let's go over now because we've pretty much done all of these. So let's go over straight into the nits and grits of the documents. And so with documents has the ability to generate them within the system. The beauty of this is that I love the fact that there's a power up that you can upload your own document and have them sign it. Now, with a document like that, though, you do have just a small amount of custom fields that you can add. It's the first name, or I think it's the full name, initials, and the date field. So, full name, initials, signature block, and date field. And so, with that being said, those are the places that you can see all of the things. So when you are generating an actual document, you have the ability to add a generator. You can also title it. So you want to make sure you choose a contract and who you're contracting to, and then you would choose a template. Now, if you don't have any templates, I would recommend you starting to build out one first. Go over to generator and then just create one that is your baseline. Maybe you want to have like a baseline of your agreement. Maybe you want to have a baseline of your independent contract agreement, whatever agreement it is, or even if it's just a header that you want to create that is always going to be the same, I would say create that as a generator. So when you create that as a generator, you're going to simply go ahead and use the placeholders to customize it so that the details of the agreement is always going to be custom to that person and dynamic. You can also, as you can see the billing grand total. You can do billing due date. You have those customizations that you can utilize, but it doesn't stop there. You actually have the ability to add the target information and any of the custom placeholders that you have available there. So when you create this as a template, then the good thing is that you can either require a document signature from them and you, or just them, whatever makes the most sense. You can prevent the bar for the urgent notification to not come on the screen. And I always think that's best as well. And then you have the ability to create this as a draft. So I love all of the customizations that it has here. And you can always save and add some automations that just allows you to customize it even further. So it just works. And once you do generate that um, document, and then you can go ahead now and send it over. I do want to show you as well the settings. So we already spoke about the settings here, but as I mentioned, I do want to just call this out. This does allow the actual document to be sent without them logging in. So just make sure you remember that, because that's important. This was a very great video, and I hope that you enjoyed it. We're going to be doing projects next, and I can't wait, because even though it seems like there's a lot more to do, honestly, I love this, and I hope that you're loving it too. So I'll see you in the next video.